What's up guys, Cody here with a patch rundown video for patch 11.6. Doing this instead of a support tier list video for this patch, just because there's not that many supports in this patch, so yeah. Let's get on into it. First up, we have a Cali Changes. So they're making a Cali a little bit easier for newer players, and weaker during the laning phase, but stronger once she gets out of it. Overall, it's probably a nerf just because Assassin wants in the early game. Like, you hit that level 6, you won't come online be able to do stuff. So, yeah. But if you are able to still do well in the laning phase and get good roams off come mid game, you'll still find a lot of success with her. Another big thing to know is that they've changed pieces of her kit to just be magic damage. So, yeah, she's pretty much almost all magic. Yeah, and her ult now has an AP. Better scaling as the game progresses. Nar's W is 10 base damage, which means that at level 1 it does 0 damage. So, yeah, that's a little... Overall, no, will still be very strong, but losing 10 damage per 3 autos will add up over time. Yeah. Hecarim is damage on his. This is significant, but not enough to take him out. Hecarim's strong just because of the fact that he has a lot of mobility and a lot of mobility to go along with his. So, yeah, losing like 20 damage on rank 5Q, it matters, but yeah, it's not gonna. Karthus is losing. Yeah, Karthus is losing damage on his Q. I honestly haven't seen Karthus in solo queue at all, and apparently this is for pro play. So, yeah, this is kind of just whatever. Every time I see a Karthus in solo queue, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, this is the Karthus changes just pro play. Whatever. LeBlanc has her mana cost. LeBlanc has her mana cost decrease for a W. Not gonna change anything. Kind of what you that's what you're gonna hear from a lot of this. It's like, it doesn't really do much. You know, some stuff is significant, more significant than others, but for the most part, nothing really changed in this patch. So, yeah, I mean, it makes LeBlanc slightly better, but well, yeah, this one is a little bit more significant. Lilia loses 20 seconds ult, like 20 seconds longer ult. That's a pretty big deal in terms of just having that. So, yeah, pretty big deal. And honestly, I didn't think Lilia was as strong as some of the other junglers in the game that nerfed. There is that. Pike is getting scaling CDR on his E, which was a thing that it used to have, I do believe. But yeah, overall, this changes a whole lot for Pike. Problem with Pike is how the game played out, comp wise, meta wise, more so than Pike himself. Pike in bot lane is extremely, extremely, extremely strong. And in fact, he wins almost every single matchup. The problem with Pike is not that he's weak, it's just that his team doesn't play around him. See, if your team is behind, you can't do anything. But two, if your team is lacking CC or engage, then your team won't be able to actually damage. You won't be able to get to the enemy to do anything, and as a result, Pike can't do it. He does still need his team to actually win team fights for him, and then cleans up once the enemy gets low. So yeah, this doesn't really much, but maybe it'll make it so that Pikes can max each second instead. Renekton is losing health on his ult at rank 2 and 3. This is going to definitely hurt his mid late game fights. Still be strong early game, so you do want to make that, but yeah, just making it ride more home that like, hey, Renekton's falls off as like the game progresses on. Solace is getting a buff. Passive is gonna attack speed when he up, and his W is getting reduced mana cost, reduced cooldown, but it's also getting a kill ratio by 5%. And when I look at this, I think, it's okay until he runs up against somebody that can try to burst him down, like an assassin, and in which case he would much prefer just to have the extra 5% heal, I would imagine, unless he's like maxing out W, which I wouldn't know. I don't play Silas, so. But I would imagine that against a burst champion, I'd rather just have the higher heal ratio, just because you're only going to be using it one time before the fight's decided, which champions are kind of what's meta right now. So yeah, but in the elongated fights, it's definitely a buff, and any fight that you can use twice, a buff. Urgot on hit damage effectiveness goes down on his W. This, apparently he was abusing Titanic. Okay, didn't know because nobody plays Urgot. For Volibear, they're trying to get him back into the jungle. His W will now heal him fully off of monsters, and his damage cap on his E is 750 at all ranks. I'm pretty sure is just for so maybe we'll see Volibear back in the jungle. Because I mean, honestly, like top lane, I felt like he was pretty good. So yeah, if other junglers start to fall out of favor, then we could see Volibear again. Since I was getting a lot of different changes here, for the most part, they're all buffs, and some of it's gonna look insane, but I'll explain why it's not. So Xin Zhao healing on this passive goes down by a little bit. His Q damage early goes down. W gets reduced cooldown with more ranks in it, a little bit higher mana cost. Will have the reduced damage against minions will go down from 50% to 0 with levels. The cast time of it will just be 0.5 seconds flat instead of scaling with attack speed. Rush damage, or the thrust on the W now scales with crit chance. The thrust range is increased, the speed of it is increased, and it will now challenge enemies. So it will now challenge enemies, so it's going to heal them for 3 seconds. And his E will allow him to dash at a range of 1100 units to challenge enemies. That's a lot to break down. Pretty much, they're making it so that crit Xin Zhao can be a thing, and his W is just overall getting a buff in general. The whole challenge thing, very nice, because there are a lot of champions in the game, a lot of popular champions in the game right now that can go. Like Diana, Holly, blade users technically, but being able to dash at 1100 challenge enemies. Sounds insane, right? Because that's like double the dash range on his E. But let's actually sit here. Let's actually sit here and think about how this would play out. Zhao goes and ganks someone, probably gonna start with his E, and which means that when he uses his W, his E's on cooldown. So the fact that he can dash at increased range no longer matters. If he's able to gank without using his E, then the only way this increased range is gonna matter is if the opponent has a dash and a flash. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is he's gonna walk up, gonna use his abilities outside of his E. The opponent's gonna flash or dash away or whatever, and then you're just gonna dash to them. But they're not gonna be outside of the original E range to begin with. So overall, the fact that you can dash to enemies you hit with your W probably only ends up mattering in like 10% of cases, if that. Other things that they did to Xin Zhao is that they gave him AP ratios on half his shit. I don't know why they want to do things like this. They're trying to be like, oh, it's for that people can have fun and whatnot. Yeah, well, you know what, Riot? I'm tired of people trying to go off meta bullshit in my games, ranked games. I wish you just wouldn't even say, like, honestly, just don't even say anything about it. Don't, like, if you want to put this in, do it, but don't put in the patch notes that you're putting this in. Just let people randomly figure out that, like, hey, Xin Zhao has AP ratios now, you know, instead of explicitly stating, people go AP Xin Zhao. It's a thing now. We assure you it's a thing, even though we 100% told you that it's not, and the AD builds are still going to be better. But yeah, I just wish Riot didn't do it. Makes people troll in your game. The items, the healing items are getting nerfed. Shield Bow is getting a pretty substantial nerf. Lifesteal goes from 12 to 10%, and it will no longer grant lifesteal off of the lifeline passive. Instead, it will now grant AD. But as a little bit of a compensation, the shield is slightly larger. Once again, though, overall, this is a pretty substantial nerf. Like, especially, Samir just got nerfed, and she's already not a great spot. And now with her main item getting nerfed like this is not looking good for her at all. A lot of ADCs in the game needed a Mortal Shield Bow to like stay alive because of how much burst there is in the game. How many assassins are popular. Slithering King gets a small nerf. Siphon damage is going up higher levels, but it's losing some lifesteal. And Steric's Gauge, the stacks are going to have diminishing. Okay. Change with Leandri's Anguish here to make it so that people aren't just blatantly buying it blankly. Okay, so Leandri's no longer grants 5% magic pen per second against burning targets. Instead, it will now grant 12% bonus magic damage to champions based on its health. Essentially, this is just to make it so that you buy Leandri's for dealing with tankier competition, and you buy the other items for other situations instead of just always buying Leandri's. Which this is better anyways because it makes the item more distinct in what its role is in the, and it's better for newer players to understand, like, hey, this, like, you know, Leandri's, because before Leandri's giving magic pen against the burning targets was like, okay, well, why, I'm gonna get the Leandri's item over the Luden's item because it seems like it's gonna offer me more. But there were like times where like, hey, no, Ludens was just straight up better on certain champions and then certain against certain comps. Leandre's was people still buying Leon can't use their brains. So this should hopefully make it easier for people to understand now. It just makes it more distinct as to what its purpose is. Ludens is also getting a buff where hitting a champion with an ability is going to decrease Ludens' cooldown by half a second, up to 3 seconds per ability, which does mean that champions like Brand are. Who else has overtime damage on top of my head? Morgana. Top of champions can technically take Ludens now if they want to, and yeah. I do like this change because like so essentially like Brand hits someone with one ability, he gets 3 seconds off of the Ludens cooldown. I do like this change. It will make it so that like one, just everybody that uses this is now getting more value out of Ludens to begin with. But if let's say you're playing Malzahar, you're playing Brand, and you are against a team that has like almost 0 tanks, you do have the option now to go Ludens if you feel like it's gonna be. Will it be better math wise? Probably not. I don't know, but it might be. And at least it's an option. Option. I like having options. Death Cap gets 200 gold off the cost. Cool. It was really expensive. Seeker's On Guard and Verdant Barrier are getting their resistances nerfed. And Verdant Barrier is losing some AP as well. It's about time. The items were giving way too many stats. Lost. This is a much needed. Shurelya's, I don't know why they're doing this buff. Because they're like, oh, Moonstone Renewer keeps getting chosen over Shurelya's for enchanters. So let's buff Shurelya's. Like that's not how that works. Yeah, pretty much all they did for Shurelya's here is just make it so that everyone that already built Shurelya's now just got better. And everyone else that didn't build Shurelya's still won't build Shurelya's. The enchanters are building Moonstone Renewer because it's Moonstone Renewer. So, yeah, people are also building Moonstone Renewer just because they can't use their brains to think about when Shurelya's would be better. That's whatever. So, huge buff to Galio Bard. Yes. I say huge. 15 seconds off the buff to anyone that uses Shurelya's and maybe placebo effect onto enchanters to maybe pick up this item every now. Strybreaker loses 100 HP. Thank God, it's strong as hell. I don't know why. Like, I get why they changed it last patch, but yeah, I'm still not exactly happy with how they changed it. Extra range on the item is scary as all hell, but that's good. Iron Spike, fasting this up on the cooldown, but lowered costs. Overall, this is good. Iron Spike, though. I will always take 100 less gold. Have a 5-second longer. I guess it somewhat depends on like how often I'm backing with 1200 versus 100, or like if I'm backing with like 1400, I could get this in boots, this in furs. Yeah, I don't know. I don't play top that much. So maybe this is more of a nerf than what it looks like. Sunfire gets 5 ability haste and extra damage. Just a buff. Just a buff. The champions that use Sunfire well aren't actually being played that much. And on top of that, most people right now prefer going and tank, or they prefer getting the Sunfire Gauntlet to provide more utility for their team. Yeah, cool. It's a buff. And Void Staff gets a little more AP, but also gets 200. It's nerfed to Void Staff just so people don't get it as often. Whatever. I think people are still gonna buy Void Staff at the same times. So. Romp is gonna heal you more and give you slightly more XP. Yeah. This is just to somewhat offset the jungle changes from. Sure, I guess, whatever. This doesn't really make a difference. The one that was being played already are going to be played. This doesn't change jungle meta at all or really do anything. Teleport! No longer gets Homestart and Home Guards, but now we'll give you a flat 50% move speed instead of it increasing with levels. And the cooldown goes down by 30 seconds at later ranks. So overall, it is a really good buff, and this change will hopefully don't just sit in base with this now. Because it doesn't happen that often, but there are times where like somebody just sits in the base, waits to TP into a fight instead of just getting back up and split pushing. They're supposed to. So yeah. Overall, the cooldown being decreased is a pretty significant. So yeah. And then Fleet and Ravenous get some nerfs. Fleet loses AP ratio, and Ravenous no longer gives base Omnivamp, and the Omnivamp per stack goes down by. Overall, Ravenous got a huge nerf. I don't know why we took this long to get rid of base Omnivamp on the item. It was really annoying to someone just healing up for free, essentially, because they had this. Yeah, hopefully makes it so that people actually have to consider going other things other than Ravenous. That's going to be it. Yeah. Notable thing to note here is that we got a quality of life change. Players can now turn off collection tab notifications for newly acquired content via settings. Thank freaking God, this took so long. So long to we needed this so long ago. The fact that like every time I got something, if I didn't go and click on it in the thing, it would just keep popping up and keep showing the little thing like, hey, you got something new, you got something new, you got something new. Thank God that's fixed. Or not fixed, but changed. They still didn't fix the Pike bug. So that sucks. There's a bug with Pike where I guess I need to explain. You can alt somebody with Pike, and if you alt them soon enough, while they're dying to an ally, your alt will still go off. You'll still get the reset on it, and you'll get gold from it. There is a bug right now where if done at the proper timing, your alt will get reset from the kill, but you will not get gold from the kill. It is extremely frustrating. And it's not even that hard to replicate. I'm pretty sure I could go into like a custom somebody, and I'm pretty sure I could replicate it in like 5 tries. It is not hard to replicate. Timing is very, very easy to duplicate. And yeah, I just wish they would fix it because it's just so frustrating when it's like, oh, I got the reset, and you see there's 0 things of gold in your inventory, and you're just like, what the fuck? So that's gonna be it for patch 11.6, guys. Like I said, no support tiers for this patch because not a whole lot of changes. ADC support this one. So yeah. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to subscribe. And I stream over on Twitch, twitch.136. You can catch me over there. Pairing up solo queue on. Thanks guys. I will catch you in the next